There are also concerns that Sarah Ferguson could potentially go rogue and start airing more secrets of the royal family if they are to be exiled from royal life. And insiders believe that Prince Andrew, he's unlikely to, say, do a Harry and get a book deal, but the same can't be said about Fergie.
Today, we delve into a royal development that is considerably more dramatic than anything that has emerged in recent weeks. Because, according to multiple insiders, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Sarah Ferguson are not merely struggling, they are spiralling. And for the first time, members of the royal family have quietly stepped in behind the scenes. This is not the controlled defiance we saw months ago. This is not the smug confidence Andrew once tried to project. What we are hearing now is panic, tension, and behaviour that royal experts are calling worrying. According to inside sources, the atmosphere inside Royal Lodge has changed entirely. The tensions are high. Late-night arguments, Sarah pouring her heart out to staff, Andrew pacing the corridors, and both of them facing the reality that the life they once clung to is slipping through their fingers. But there is something even more intriguing. Fresh photographs show Andrew riding through Windsor, looking utterly defeated. Head down, shoulders slumped, a picture of misery. Except, body language experts believe this may not be genuine despair at all.
The terms of the lease say that as long as Prince Andrew maintains the upkeep of the property and the repairs and the renovations, then he is within the terms of the lease, and therefore it is very difficult to remove him or for him to move.
They think Andrew has changed tactics, that this sudden gloom may be a performance designed to influence one man, King Charles. The first major revelation comes from veteran royal reporter Robert Jobson, a man who has followed the family for decades. Asked whether Andrew and Sarah are coping well with the latest developments, Jobson said bluntly, "Not very well, I don't think." And he went further. He claims members of the royal family have become concerned about the pair's mental state. Let that sink in. The same family who stripped Andrew of his titles, removed his status, and ordered him out of Royal Lodge are now keeping an eye on how badly he and Sarah are coping. Now, it must not be mistaken. This is not sympathy, this is caution. Because when a couple, who have been through decades of scandal, suddenly show signs of emotional collapse, the palace pays attention. And not to support them, but to control the fallout. The monarchy is not going to intervene out of affection, it would intervene out of protection. Protection of the institution, protection of the crown, and protection from further embarrassment.
It is always astronomical to me that anyone cares about Fergie, that of course being the former Princess of Who Cares, from 30 years ago. But they are lining up to talk to her because she may have something to say about the former Prince Andrew.
Inside Royal Lodge, the situation is tense. A source told The Sun that Andrew and Sarah have been heard having some pretty intense conversations about what comes next. Could new information be ready for release? Sarah, we are told, is panicking, not in a good place, massively on edge. Apparently, she has been leaning heavily on the few remaining staff who really like her, spending evenings drinking with them and pouring out her fears. This paints a picture of someone who is overwhelmed and desperately trying to cling to the last scraps of stability. And remember, Sarah has lost a lot herself. Charities dropped her, her York title gone, her reputation damaged again, this time not only by her own scandal, but also by Andrew's. Now to the photographs that have set off a wave of speculation.
This new deal is being sold as a royal trade-off of sorts after weeks of mounting speculation and criticism over whether Prince Andrew would be evicted from Royal Lodge. It seems he's ultimately found a way out, but on his terms.
Andrew was seen again riding through the frosty Windsor estate, looking utterly broken, head bowed, shoulders slumped, eyes fixed downwards. A man stripped of titles, stripped of privilege, facing eviction. To some, it may look like a refreshing display of humility. Except, body language expert Judy James believes the entire scene is suspicious. She calls it theatrical, calculated, a deliberate attempt to project an image of suffering. She points out that Andrew's posture is completely unnatural for someone who has ridden his entire life. Experienced riders sit upright by instinct. Their bodies do it automatically. The slumped position he displays is not natural. Which raises the question, was this a candid moment or a carefully crafted one? Judy James even notes the photos themselves are unusually sharp. The background is blurred, the composition is very precise.
Prince
Andrew is being stripped of his prince title. But why now? Buckingham Palace said the king has today initiated a formal process, and his younger brother will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He gave up his other titles earlier this month.
These are not messy paparazzi shots. They look almost curated. So, what does that tell us? If Andrew is putting on a performance, then the motive is clear: sympathy, softening public perception, and perhaps persuading King Charles that he is too fragile to be pushed any further. Another detail emerging paints an even darker picture. Apparently, Andrew has been seen wandering around Royal Lodge, ranting to himself, alone. This is the behaviour of someone who has been cornered, someone who has lost the one thing he relied on more than anything else: entitlement. Because this is the uncomfortable truth. Andrew has never lived a life with consequences, and now that consequences have arrived, he does not know how to function. Together, Andrew and Sarah form a picture of two individuals who are finally facing what the rest of the country saw years ago. Their royal bubble has burst.
What do you think about this? Is Fergie a big concern?
Well, I think absolutely. It always used to be the mantra, didn't it? To never complain, never explain. It was a public relations thing. Personal motto was the royal family had, and the Queen, the late Queen Elizabeth, famously would follow that. It was actually attributed to the 19th century Prime Minister Benjamin.
For decades, they managed to survive scandal after scandal, but status was always their shield. Now the shield has been taken away, and without that protection, they have spiraled. Now here is the part that matters most. The royal family is said to have stepped in, not out of care and concern, but out of fear. Fear that Andrew and Sarah are becoming unstable at a moment when the monarchy cannot afford further embarrassment. Fear that the eviction, combined with the intense scrutiny, may trigger unpredictable behaviour. Fear that if left unchecked, the situation could cause a PR disaster worse than what we have already seen. Now we need to ask the question, what do they know? Is there more to be revealed? The royal family knows if you fail to manage a crisis privately, it will erupt publicly. So this quiet intervention is not a rescue, it is containment. And that, more than anything, tells us how serious the situation has become.
A chance to give an interview. She may say something that we will interpret as a real answer, even though we both know it's probably going to be.
Paul, so great to have you back. And yes, there is trouble in paradise. You would think it's a real honour to be a member of the royal family. You never have to pay a bill. You've got luxury, you've got waiters and butlers.
So here we have two people who once lived at the heart of royal privilege, now clinging to the last pieces of a life that has slipped away. Whether Andrew's new sorrow is genuine or staged remains up for debate. But what is clear is that something inside Royal Lodge has changed. Something the palace is watching very closely. And now I want your thoughts. Do you think Andrew's distraught image is real? Or is he manipulating public perception again? Do you believe Sarah is truly panicking? Or is this simply another cycle of drama? And most importantly, why do you think they have both held on to each other for so long, despite everything? And before we finish, there is one element that cannot be ignored. The relationship between Andrew and Sarah has always been one of the oddities of modern royal life. Officially divorced, yet living side by side for decades. Never quite together, never quite apart. For many, it has long raised questions. Why did neither of them truly move on? Why did they remain intertwined long after their marriage ended? A theory often whispered among royal watchers is that their bond is less about affection and more about shared history. The kind of history that is inconvenient, the kind that is best kept between two people who were present at the same moments and privy to the same behaviour. In other words, they may stay close because they each understand precisely what the other knows. And in a family where reputation is everything, that type of knowledge can bind people together in ways nothing else can. Which is why this latest unraveling matters more than ever. If the pressure continues to mount and the walls finally close in, the question is not just how Andrew and Sarah will cope. The real question is what happens if either of them decides they have nothing left to protect. Because when two people who have carried each other's secrets for this long begin to crack, the fallout can reach far further than Royal Lodge, and the palace knows it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. This story is not slowing down, and I will be following every new twist as it unfolds. If you want to stay ahead of the next chapter, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.